struck 3 a.m. The witching hour has begun. Are you ready to be initiated into the Black Magic Coven? Join your sisters, Andrea,
Kaylee,
Liz,
and Marissa,
as we meet to discuss the macabre, creepy, and sinister. We call upon the four corners to bind Issei Sagawa. Issei Sagawa, also known as Pang or the Kobe Cannibal, is a murderer, cannibal, and necrophile known for the killing of Renee Hartfelt in Paris in 1981. Are you ladies familiar with Issei?
I personally was not until I started. I didn't know anything about him, but I read up on him the last couple days, and man, he's fucked up.
Andrea, you brought this into my life. So thanks.
I apologize in advance to my coven and my listeners because I found this guy researching Armin Meiwes when we were talking about our last cannibal episode.
Yeah.
And I am appalled and a little bit lots of words that this is not known to people because of how horrific this story is and the fact that this dude is just out there.
He's just walking
living
free.
his life.
Well,
Yeah.
he's not walking anymore, but
he was. Yeah. So yeah.
Yeah, his entire story is so dark and fucked up.
Normally I feel like our podcast is dark enough, but I feel like this warrants a genuine trigger warning for multitudes of reasons.
100%.
Yeah, this story is seriously disturbing and fucked up.
Disclaimer, this is fucked up.
It's real fucked up.
It's real dark, and
it gets bad. So I had an issue just doing a rough draft, trying to figure out where I wanted to start. And where I really wanted to start was with Renee Hartfelt, because she's the victim.
Mm-hmm.
There is not shit on her.
There's really not. I tried to read about her too.
I have dug into the deep interwebs and I don't know if it's out of respect for her family or what, but outside of her relationship with him, I couldn't find anything about her upbringing, what she was into, what kind of person she was. There was just nothing. So I apologize because I would rather focus on her, but that was really not an option because there was not much there. So where I decided to start was with Issei's early life. And I don't want to do this in any kind of way that's going to make people feel sorry for him or form an opinion.
To me, I feel because I always look back at Jeffrey Dahmer as a good example of this.
Yeah.
Because I think there is a lot of information about Jeffrey Dahmer's childhood. That comic book that was then turned into a movie, which is My Friend Dahmer, which I highly recommend if you've never read. The comic is really good. But reading that comic, I was man, this kid had a really messed up upbringing, and there was so many chances that adults could have stepped in and done something to maybe change who he was.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But it does not forgive what he did. So
no,
he still made the choices to do the things he did. Now, could there have been a difference maker before? Yes, I do think there could have been. I think that if things had been different for Jeffrey, that he could have been a different person. But
absolutely.
It went down the way that he did, and then he decided to make those choices based on his terrible upbringing.
And he's still a monster.
There's a lot of people in the world that have way shittier upbringings that do not kill
100%.
So
it's not an excuse. It's not excusable at all.
I just wanted to preface this conversation with a little bit of that, just because there are moments that I'm gonna bring stuff up that might make it sound lighthearted, and it's not.
Right. And I also want to add to that. I watched a couple interviews with him.
Yeah.
Specifically the Vice interview, and he's talking about some things. I want to go into it later. But
yes. Yeah.
They make it seem like you're supposed to feel bad for him.
Yeah, and that's I think that's like kind of the narcissist brain.
Yeah, he does not deserve your pity.
Right. So we've established that.
Yeah.
So Issei Sagawa was born on April 26, 1949 in Kobe to wealthy parents. And I say that with a big punctuation mark. Wealthy parents.
Yeah.
So that makes him a Taurus.
Good.
Oh,
okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Just out of curiosity, because I've been talking to someone about this recently, about which a lot of the zodiac signs are like murderers, and
Which is Taurus one of them?
Taurus isn't really one of them.
I thought Virgos are, right?
Virgo, there's a lot of Virgo killers, and I think there's a few Scorpios. There's not any Libras, and I'm a Libra, so I think that we're just like indecisive on how we would kill someone. But
See, and I'm a Leo, and you're just not worth it.
You've got a hammer in one hand and a knife in the other, and you're like, I just don't know.
Which one would be the
See,
most
I'm a
effective?
Cancer, and so I wouldn't kill you because I just want everyone to love me. So
Yeah,
I
Liz, I too am a Cancer, so I relate to that,
Aw.
yes.
I just want a
That's
people
me.
please.
I'm a big baby.
I love it.
Amazing. Yes.
Okay, so
wealthy
Sagawa
parents.
was born prematurely, and reportedly he was small enough he could fit in his father's palm.
Aw.
Lots of medical issues due to this. As a child, he would remember his uncle and his dad dressing up as monsters and lowering him and his brother into a stew pot for eating. This is like a fun family event. His favorite fairy tale growing up was Hansel and Gretel.
Yeah, that lines up.
Yes.
Ew.
And as early as first grade, he had a cannibalistic desire seeing a classmate's thigh. But in an interview, he said he couldn't act on it because he wasn't gay.
I mean, yeah.
And,
I mean,
eating a man is gay?
I was just about to say
I'm
that.
like,
It's like,
what
I
does that mean?
I don't
Right,
know
like-
how sexuality, like preference, comes into play.
Is it gonna
in
taste
cannibalism.
different? I don't know.
Okay, but have y'all seen the movie Us?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, Winston Duke has some like tasty thick thighs in that.
Okay, so there is a
Fair
big
enough.
difference there.
So like I kind of
Like I might want to bite it, but I don't want to bite into it.
Oh, okay, yeah. No, that's what I meant. That's totally normal. That's what I meant. Like, yeah, biting versus like biting into and actually eating. Yes, big
Yeah.
difference. But
Like
like,
consuming a person.
y'all rewatch that movie and pay attention to Winston's eyes, because it is just like, I don't know. I never knew that like I needed some like thick thighs in my life until I saw him. I was like, he's like full on dad mode, but hot.
Oh, lady,
But
like that
hot.
is like the dad bod thigh.
Yeah.
In some like short shorts.
Yes.
Yes.
You know what I'm talking about. But like an elementary school child, that's very weird and inappropriate and not normal at all. So I
No, 100% not.
concern.
But like 13-year-old me is cringing right now because I'm like it's like hairy and sweaty and like,
Ew.
and like 40-year-old me is like, oh yeah.
But also, this dude is straight up like, "Ooh, that looks yummy," and then he's like, "No,
Well,
not
yeah,
good."
he's like looking at it like, oh, that's like dinner.
I have
Yeah.
I can't. Like those thoughts when you're that young is definitely beyond me. But
Yeah,
maybe
so-
it's the fairy tale. I don't know.
So I think like the extra screwed up part about this is Sagawa talks about how awesome his family was. Like his parents were super loving. He had this like great childhood, but his major downfall was that you like could not talk about sex. Like sex
Mhm.
was like the thing that was not talked about. You didn't even mention it. Like that just was off limits. So when he got his first erection, he literally thought he was ill, like that there was like something
Aw.
physically
Oh,
wrong with him.
no.
Yeah.
So he didn't know, which I feel for that child that was not this grown man that I hate. So in remedy of that, he would use the family dog to deal with his erection issues.
Yeah.
Issues
No.
instead of masturbating.
Yeah.
So
No.
he was already like doing bestiality
Yeah.
at this age instead of like, I feel like normal kids like would just like go touch themselves somewhere. I don't know.
Like, how old
Is
would he have
giving me
been?
the weirdest look.
This
Cover
would
your
have been
ears.
1st to 3rd grade.
Oh my god.
That is
Yeah.
so fucked beyond
Yeah.
belief.
That's
Yeah. So
okay.
so
That's a
the poor dog.
dude. Maybe that should have been like a trigger warning in the beginning. Like that's awful. That's
Well, but nobody knew like he's doing this.
Oh.
In that Vice documentary, he talks about himself as a child, that he was an alien that fell to Earth disguised as a human baby,
Oh my
and that
god.
his mother found him, but he came from a place of cannibals. This was his words in that documentary.
Wow.
He makes me so upset on so many levels.
Yeah.
I know I don't want to encourage people to watch it because it's really. I think people want to say like things are tough to watch. This thing like kept me up for like 3 nights.
Ugh.
The first time I watched it a second time just to prepare for this, and it's like super disturbing just because of how candid he talks about it. But it's also like, if anybody's into psychology or like
Sure.
trying to figure out how these people's brains work, like it's a really great insight.
I feel like that's what's crazy to me, like just watching the things I watched today, is how the candidness of him, like, oh yeah,
like
I
it's no
did
big
this.
deal. Like I went to the grocery store today.
I
and
drew
then I
a
ate a woman.
comic. Yeah, like I don't know. There's so many levels of things, the way he approaches it, that are so disturbing.
Like flat
Absolutely.
affect, just very
Yeah.
cut and dry. This is how it is. I mean, that's definitely an indicator of sociopathic behavior, like having no conscience, basically.
Yeah. So at this point in his life, he's already exploring these odd behaviors that should have been picked up on. He himself had said that if he had had psychiatric treatment at this point in his life, he thought things would be very different. So I thought that was interesting that he acknowledged that, because most people like him don't.
Yeah. Well, that was
Yeah.
one of the situations, right, where his dad had, like, if I remember correctly, he had gone to therapy, and it came out that there was clearly something going on with him mentally.
Yeah,
And
I
his-
want to say he was like 15.
Yeah, and his parents were just like, no.
No, he's
It's fine.
fine.
It's fine. It's fine. Here's some money. Don't tell anyone. He's fine.
And that's why I put the extra punctuation on the wealthy family, because I feel like this transcends all cultures. Like, this was in Japan, but this happens here in America. Like,
Yeah.
you get some rich asshole that thinks he can do anything to anybody, and he can.
Yeah.
You have enough money and you can make it
You're
all
like
go
that
away.
prep guy that raped the girl behind the dumpster.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, we don't want to ruin
Brock
his life.
Turner.
Brock
Yeah.
Turner, thank you. I
Like
forgot his
Donald
name.
Trump.
Scum of the earth.
I'll never
like to
forget
bring-
him. That man
I'll
sucks.
Bring him up every time you can.
Oh, I will. Fuck Brock Turner. Anyway, back to...
Okay, so after that, when he was 24, he followed a woman home. Apparently, and this story is weird because like he thought it was his grandma's old apartment, but he had a thing, and he's always had a thing with European-looking women, like tall, blonde, thin-built women that would be considered foreign to a Japanese man.
Mhm.
Anyway, he broke in while she was sleeping. So his big plan, and this is not funny, but I think it's funny, he was gonna hit her with an umbrella, cut off a piece of her butt, and leave. like she's like, no, this is gonna go off without a hitch,
She
right?
definitely would not wake up.
No.
No
So
way.
apparently when he was sneaking in, he like his knee brushed her stomach. And like she like
Oh.
woke up and pushed him, and like he's this scrawny little dude, like
He's 4'9".
yeah, like he's tiny. And so she overpowered him. The police were called. They charged him with attempted rape. And Daddy paid a bunch of money and charges were dropped.
And what's interesting about that too is like they had charged him for attempted rape, but he was afraid to tell them what he was actually there for.
Yeah, well, he wasn't gonna like offer himself up at that point. So he was like, if they didn't know what I was there to do, I'm not gonna tell them.
Which of course they didn't, because most people don't assume you're there to eat a human.
No, not he didn't want to eat her. He just wanted a piece of her butt.
Yeah, that's a piece of her. Yeah.
He just wanted a little cut off the top.
That's disgusting.
I mean, us as women, a lot of times we're only looked at as a piece of ass anyways, so...
Yeah,
you know.
that's
Oh
very
God,
true.
it's so literal. I didn't even... Okay, Marissa, I didn't even think about that. Thank you. Piece of ass is never gonna be the same.
You just wanted a piece of ass, or like...
A literal piece of ass.
Literal piece of ass.
Piece of ass. Or like it gives new connotation to like eating ass, you know?
Oh, yeah.
What all the like Gen Zers would do nowadays.
It was not in a fun way.
I'm like, isn't that how the guy from Korn got hepatitis? Wasn't he ate some poop or something?
No, I don't know.
Consensual. Like,
Or wasn't there a band member that got like some disease from eating poop?
oh, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I don't know enough about Korn.
Maybe I'm remembering that incorrectly.
Dave Matthews? I don't know.
Somebody should correct me in the comments.
All I can think of now is Michael Douglas saying he got like mouth cancer from like eating Catherine Zeta-Jones.
Amazing.
I cannot handle that.
Like, and they're still married.
I know.
I
Yeah.
would be like, bye,
I
dude. You just blamed your mouth cancer on me? Like, thanks. bye.
Peace out,
You guys.
bitch.
Is that like it's like a really healthy long-term Hollywood relationship though, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think.
I mean, yeah, except for that he said that. I mean, like, that doesn't seem healthy, but,
But
you know,
maybe
whatever.
I don't know. Maybe that's their like kink.
Maybe
You know?
he really did. I don't like we don't know.
No, Andrea, you can't get mouth cancer from that, okay?
No, you
Well,
can't.
what if okay, hold on. I need to Google this because I'm like, if you have HPV and somebody eats you out, can you?
No,
No.
Okay,
there's
never
no
mind.
fucking way.
All right. that was my straw reaching to save Michael Douglas. It didn't work because I am very ignorant in the ways of the cancer.
Yes.
As a cancer, no, I'm just
As
kidding.
And now we're laughing about cancer.
No, we're not. It's not fun.
All right, are you guys ready?
Yeah.
Okay. In 1977, at
Oh,
the age
no.
of 27, Issei moved to France. He wanted to get a PhD in literature.
He wanted to be a
And-
doctor.
All of the interwebs said because of his illnesses and introverted personality, he just like dove into like literature. Like books were his life.
Hmm.
So he went to Sorbonne in Paris, and once he got there, you know what he did? Almost every night he would bring a prostitute home and try to shoot them. But for some reason, quote, my fingers froze up and I couldn't pull the trigger. So like this is a repeated behavior that's happening. These girls probably have no idea
Right.
like what's going on. But this little man is sitting in the corner in the dark, probably naked. I'm picturing. This is my vision, with a gun, and then he's putting it away and like, okay, never mind, go home. Like, put your clothes on, leave.
God, what a
So
little bitch. I don't like this dude at all. At all.
No, you shouldn't.
No, you shouldn't. He's a monster.
Yeah. So finally, Issei finds a friend at school. Her name is Renee, and she is not romantically attracted to him, but it's like kind of friend zone fun stuff. Like she wants to be his friend, he wants more, but he's gonna play along because he thinks something could happen. Guys, don't do that.
Yeah, if she
they
says
do.
she's not interested, she's not.
Yeah, and don't be her friend thinking like, oh wait, she's gonna like me someday.
Dude, 100% guys do that.
Yeah, they do all the time. And
Yeah.
it's like, no, if you want to be her friend, be her friend. But if you're trying to fuck her, just move on.
Yeah, they don't get that though. So
No.
I've seen this.
Is this our public service announcement for the episode?
Don't do it, guys. Listen.
Stop. STAHP. Stop.
Ah.
Stop.
So what happens?
So they actually, like, he's doing this pretend thing really well, and gets her interest. They actually had dinner a time before in his apartment, and everything was fine. She left. Then on June 11th, 1981, he invited her over with the premise that a teacher wanted poetry recited in German. This was like all fake, but it was believable. They're all going to college and she speaks German, so he needed somebody to read and he was going to record it. So she comes over, sitting in a chair, and I don't know, Kaylee might be able to help. In everything I've watched, I've seen two different accountings of how this went down.
Mm-hmm.
One of them was that he had the gun and he was doing the same thing with the prostitutes, like he was gonna shoot her, but then he wasn't.
Yeah.
And the gun accidentally went off.
Oh, I haven't seen that.
The other one I saw was that he purposefully did it. And so I'm fine with either of them because I believe the accounting that I found when the gun accidentally went off. He freaked out, passed out actually, came to, was gonna call the cops, but was like, I didn't want to kill her, but I want to eat her.
Yeah.
So, like, I've waited my whole life for this.
So I never saw the accidental thing, but I did
Yeah.
see she was reading a German poem, right? He was recording a video, and he shot her in the back of the throat.
Mm-hmm.
And I did see he passed out.
Yeah.
I saw that accounted multiple times.
Yes.
And then he woke up and considered the ambulance, but then thought, I want to eat her.
Right. And very similar to the Armin Maiva story, he repeatedly says he did not want to kill somebody. He wanted to eat her while he was alive. And he was actually disappointed. Could you believe this bitch died before he had a chance to eat her?
I mean, it comes back around when I was reading about him that the cannibals want to absorb a certain part of the people they eat.
Right, and because he was sickly his whole life, like he felt like if he absorbed this young, beautiful woman, that he would get some sort of that.
Yeah, he would be better.
Well, and that's similar to the Wendigo thing, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So,
Gross.
I don't know. So I don't think anyone will ever really know exactly the circumstances, but we know he shot her. The next segment is, I think, where I got stuck for a long time. Just in, okay, so he initially, rewind. He had sex with the corpse.
Mm-hmm.
Then he decided he needed to eat her. He tried to bite into her, but figured out his teeth wouldn't, I don't know. Apparently you can't bite into human flesh enough to take a bite.
They weren't sharp enough.
Yeah. The knives he had in his house didn't work. So this motherfucker goes to the fucking store and buys a knife, goes back to the house, and then, he chose the right cheek, not the left. He didn't want to be closer to the heart because he was scared of blood.
Yeah, that makes sense.
God.
That adds up.
Yeah, and once he started cutting, he was kind of disappointed at first because he saw a yellow corn-like substance, which would have been the fat.
Yes.
Before he got to the red meat. So I'm like, okay, there's a lot wrong here on a human level, but on a science level, do you not know how the body works?
No, he doesn't. Clearly.
There's no anatomy. I don't know. So he starts butchering her after he raped her. Prefaced this with, he's a total piece of shit. I would like to reinsert that again.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
But he consumed various parts of her body, eating most of her breasts and face, either raw or cooked, and putting other parts in the fridge.
Ugh.
I think the extra brutal part of this, which makes me extra sad that I have no background on Renee, is that he filmed all this.
Yeah. He took photos. He documented.
Every bit of it is
Can you
available.
imagine being the freaking like detective or whatever that had to go through that? Like,
No.
We haven't even gotten to how he was caught.
Yeah, no, it gets worse.
But I would like to say, he's in an interview I read when he was talking about like doing it, he specifically is quoted saying, "It melted in my mouth like raw tuna in a sushi restaurant."
Ew.
So
No.
if
This dude is.
Are
He
you
is-
saying
yeah.
that because you're a vegetarian, Kaylee?
no, I'm not. That is literally what
No.
he said.
You trying to rub
And
it
he
in?
even he was quoted later in life talking about if he did it again, how he could do it better with like a shoyu or like some sort of ramen. Like he had specific recipes in mind. Like I'm so
We
glad
need
this
to find the
dude
quote he
is,
said
like-
about going back to it.
Yeah, like
He said, "What I'm saying is, I can't bear the thought of leaving this life without ever tasting that derriere that I saw this morning.
yeah.
I want to eat them again while I'm alive so I can at least be satisfied when I die." This is according to this interview, July 4th, 2021.
Yeah, that's not remorse.
No,
or,
no.
Yeah.
Hmm.
But okay, we'll get to why he has no remorse. So he took photographs at each eating stage. I tried my best to not see them. Specific interviews and YouTube videos pop them up with no trigger warning, and so I did see some of them.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, and it was a lot. But at this point, he's gotten all of his choice cuts, I guess is the only way to put it.
Ugh.
But he's got to do something with the rest of the body. So this fucking genius was like, I'm gonna put him in a couple luggage bags. So he's got his bags, calls a cab, right? Bodies are heavy. This is a little dude. So he's lugging these bags into the cab, and the cabbie asks him if they have dead bodies as a joke because they're so heavy before loading them into the car. And I tried not to giggle just then, but I did, and I apologize. I don't know. Are you guys familiar with the Party Monster?
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
movie?
Okay, so there was like a similar thing in New York, and they loaded a body into a cab.
Mhm.
Yeah, okay. If you
Well,
guys
it's in a
aren't,
trunk. Yeah, it's in a trunk.
go
Uh,
Google it. But
That, by the way, that movie is like terrible but good. Like,
I love
and Macaulay
Party
Culkin
Monster.
is
Yeah.
so great.
Mhm.
Yeah,
But that story is also pretty messed up. So
yeah. And
not,
I
as
have
bad, not as bad as this, actually.
no
But-
the Party Monster story. I have tons of sympathy for everyone involved. Not this one.
Yeah.
Okay, so he puts these suitcases in the cab. They go to a park. So again, this like skinny little dude's trying to like lug these suitcases full of body parts through the park. Well, like somebody's looking at him, and he's like, "Okay, this is weird. Like somebody's noticed me. I should probably not be doing this." So he just like this genius just like it's like I'm just gonna leave him here, and then he's gonna go watch the sunset over the water because it's beautiful. Like have a moment. Well, by that point, the guy who was watching him leave the suitcases opens one and is like, "Hey, is this your suitcase?" He's like, "No," and starts walking off. Like you're in the middle of Paris. You got this tiny little Asian dude. The police come, and I want to say it was like like a week or 2 weeks before they figured out, like they got the cabbie and figured out it was him. So you would think this is good, right?
You'd think.
Yeah, so he gets arrested, and his wealthy father gets this great lawyer. He was held for 2 years awaiting trial. In the end, France found him legally insane and unfit to stand trial. So I feel like in the United States, that would mean that you're locked up in a mental high, security facility. But apparently they didn't like the publicity that this was getting, because everybody's talking about this cannibal and all this stuff that happened. So they transferred him to a hospital in Tokyo, where the examining psychologist declared him sane and found that sexual perversion was his sole motivation for murder. So because in France he was cleared, all of that evidence and all of those charges had been dropped, and those court documents were sealed, so they could not charge him. So Issei Sagawa checked himself out of a hospital on August 12th, 1986, and has remained free since.
Terrible.
Yeah. I mean, isn't this just I know it's not our justice system because, it's in Tokyo and it's a combination of that and France, but I guess it makes me feel okay, so the justice system everywhere is just screwed up and nothing works. I don't know. I'm just how?
When I say his family's wealthy, I want to I don't know exact numbers, but the idea I get, this is Trump wealth.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Trump wasn't that wealthy.
Yeah, he lost all his money.
I shouldn't use that as an example.
Gold-plated toilet wealth.
Yeah,
His dad was
Bezos
wealthy.
wealth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's still, Jesus, her poor family too.
I know.
I can't even.
Well, and that's what I
imagine.
spent so before I even knew we were doing this has been I hate to use the word obsession, but this has been a thing for me for a long time. I can't, and I have yet to find anything on her. That poor woman.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it sucks. I can see it both ways where, maybe the family just wants it to stay private, so they don't want to have a bunch of stuff out there.
Yeah.
But then at the same time, it sucks for her to be, famous for this, and that's all people know.
Right, and
about
that's all
her.
she's remembered for. You can't find, was she great at the flute? I don't know. Did she do, I want to know more.
Yeah.
And it's not a right of mine to know more. I would like to.
That's kind of a fear of mine. If you're savagely murdered and just disgustingly abused, and it doesn't matter. It's kind of like Sharon Tate. It doesn't even matter that you were an actress or you were, a writer, or who you were as a person. It's
Manson killed you.
You're a victim to this fucking sick bastard forever. But
no, you were a person. You lived.
Yeah,
you did things.
I hate that. It honestly disturbs me, and I'm scared of.
Yeah, it comes back to that whole thing of school shooters and mass shooters, and somehow it becomes about them and not about their victims.
Yeah.
Right, and that, and that's something I want to always focus on.
Yeah, we should not give a shit about them.
Yeah. I mean, even though I feel people need to know about this piece of shit, because this is not okay, and I don't. There's a lot of gross misjustices in all of our legal systems.
Yeah.
But to me, this one is a standout that no one knows about.
This one is. He was allowed to make a manga about what he did to her.
And we'll get to all the fun shit he's gotten to do.
It's just that man doesn't deserve.
That's it's infuriating, honestly. It disgusts me that so many men especially get away with all various degrees of hurting and killing and assaulting women, and even when
Well, and yeah, like maybe not just killing, but assault.
well, yeah, like anything, it's like all across the spectrum they could get away with, and that's just even something so drastic as this. Like he still can live like a normal, fine life. Like that's disgusting.
Oh, absolutely. I think one of the most jarring quotes from everything I saw was he said, "If I think about it now, if instead of her flesh I'd been able to obtain her pubic hairs or urine and put it in my mouth, I might have been satisfied, but I wasn't able to bring myself to ask.
Oh my God.
I guess I was afraid of asking her for it would have disgusted her. So instead, you shoot her in the fucking neck.
And then cut off pieces of her body. And
Well, rape her and then, cut off. Like, what the fuck is wrong with you? I'm sorry.
There's
like,
a lot of stuff wrong with them, so.
But, like, just, like, hey, like, I don't know. And in the flip side, if some dude that I think I'm friends with is like, give me some of your pubic hair, I want to drink your pee. But on the alternative, is he gonna fucking murder me? I'm gonna give you my pee and like several pubic. Like I will shave that shit.
I
Like
mean,
you can have.
sure.
Yeah, like if you're gonna give me the option, I'm totally like you can have my panties I worn all day.
But also,
like,
maybe you shouldn't say this because it feels like people might just roll in with threats.
Oh Jesus Christ! Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Well, and this was in 1981, so you don't
Yeah.
have these kinds of, you don't have the internet, you don't have these forums of people who are into like really kinky stuff, you know?
Right. No, I'm gonna roll back. Like my panties are $100 a pair.
Girl, I would up it like to 500 if
Yeah, 100%.
like,
Oh,
you're-
really?
yes,
500?
yeah.
Okay.
You're
sure.
devaluing yourself.
Oh Jesus Christ! See, I don't know these things.
Yeah, they don't teach you that in high school. Thanks.
No,
Yeah, it's
like,
like-
I don't know how much my dirty panties should go for on eBay.
They don't teach you that in high school.
Wait, does it go on eBay? Is there another form? for
No,
this?
I don't think you can sell it on eBay. I think you have to find like a.
Like
I would think
Craigslist.
panties could be sold on eBay, and like extra pubic hair clippings come with each order.
But I mean,
Oh my
people are in this like, weird stuff that I think that if he didn't have, well, maybe this is theoretically, but like, it seems like a lot of these people have these, like these murderers have these suppressed sexual urges. They don't know what to do with. They think that like there's this deviancy, you know, and they act out through danger instead of finding like healthy ways to go about it. And when you demonize any form of sex, whether it be like the act itself or masturbation or what have you, like, yeah, you're probably going to go to extreme fucked up lengths to satisfy those urges. I mean,
Again, that's 100% because he said later, like, had he had that help or knew what masturbation was, that he thought, and I disagree with this, that he wouldn't have done this. But there was also a thing on the Vice video where he was talking about like that masturbation wasn't suppressing his urges anymore. And that was really scary for me.
Yeah,
I don't know. Kaylee, you watched that one?
I did. Oh well, I didn't watch the whole thing. I just kind of skimmed through it. But
It's rough. But yeah, he talks about like how that finally when he found out about masturbation, like that would like suppress his urges. But when he would see like, and he always references like European looking white women,
yeah,
that was his trigger. Until recently, he has a new obsession with Okinawan women, which I guess falls in line with him not being able to be as mobile and being where he's at. But so he's out, right? Like he checks himself out of the place he's in. The thing that I found extra interesting was that he had no follow-up treatment. So even in the US, when somebody's like convicted of some kind of heinous crime or has some kind of like mental illness, there's usually some sort of probation or anything. Like, he was literally able to just check out and walk out, and that was it. And I think that like bothers me so much. But we know like Americans are super obsessed with celebrity. Apparently so is Japan. And he was instantly asked to do restaurant reviews for a Japanese magazine.
Oh my god, what?
Yeah. Yeah.
It must be when he compared the eating of the human flesh to salmon melting his mouth.
Yeah, no, he did restaurant reviews. He did documentaries, game shows. He was a public speaker. He was paid to publish books, which I don't like to publicly admit that I would like to see, but I will never pay for them because I don't want to give him a fucking dime. So if I can pirate them in some way, I might look at them.
I'm sure you can.
My jaw has been on
He
the
appeared
floor.
in pornographic movies, and he made artwork, which I hate to admit again, his artwork is really good. He wrote columns for magazines, and made a really decent living for a while off of his post-release.
Wow. Disgusting.
He should
like,
have never...
I don't... Yeah, how the hell... Like, I mean, this was in, like, what, the 80s? Like, mid-80s?
Yeah.
I mean, like, I guess just, like, we were all just, like, so... As a culture, like, what the F? I don't... Like, when... Like... The 80s were just a mess, I guess, because everyone was just too high doing cocaine.
Yeah.
I don't... What... Like, what in the hell?
Pretty much.
I don't understand where we went, because, like, you know, obviously we were very, like... you know, what am I trying to say? Like, we were very sheltered and like whatever back in like the 50s. Then we had like the free love movement, go into the 80s, and then I think we kind of go back into that sheltered vibe. Like nowadays, like people are trying to go way more conservative again.
Right.
It's like, what in the heck? Where do we go that we were like, yeah, let's have fun with the freaking cannibal guy? Like,
right. Let's make him famous.
Like, what in the heck were people doing? That, like, who would... I don't understand who was watching that. Who was consuming that media? Like...
So, there was a few videos. One of them was, like... It didn't show the whole video, but he was, like, being, like, the wolf in, like, the Little Red Riding Hood. And she was like, oh, like... I don't know, like the translation was bad, but basically like your teeth aren't big enough, and he's like, I'll bite you anyway, and like,
dude,
yeah, no, I'm serious. Like another one I saw that was actually kind of funny was making fun of him, and they made him do these Olympics, and because he was tiny and like had no muscles, they were like having him like run laps, and it's the most. And I don't know, are you guys familiar with like Japanese game shows and TV?
just a
Yes.
little bit.
A bit,
Okay.
Yeah.
So you kind of know, like, it's not the same as what we get, but like they had him running laps on a track and then like trying to lift weights, and it was in jest, and it was definitely making fun of him, but it was still giving him celebrity at the same time.
Yeah.
So I don't know, that part I have a problem with.
Mm-hmm. I mean, yeah,
but-
I feel like this would not happen today.
No.
100%
But-
no.
He's still alive.
Yeah,
I know.
okay. And he, like, in 1993, it doesn't say, like, I don't know, this part is really sketchy. He met a German guy, which I was like, okay, all over the internet, all I could see is a German guy, that introduced him to some white women. And he, at this point, he is stealing his dad's credit card to pay for trips. He's selling his brother's art, his cello, like, he's like, you know, like, if anybody's have a crackhead in the family, like, and they're selling all your shit, like, that's what this dude's doing, but he's taking
my
women on
God.
trips. So, like, they're going all over the place. He specifically meets a woman named Rhonda and Talia. he mentions that they did not have sex, but he paid for all their trips. They're going to Canada, India, Mexico, and Iceland. They're living it. And the photos are dumb. Like they're having drinks, they're partying. Specifically through the whole thing, he keeps mentioning that he didn't ask them to take photos, but like they're super sexy photos. Like some of them, they're like lifting their pants up or they're laying in provocative poses.
Okay.
And I think the scariest part for me.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah, like so they don't know who this guy is.
Oh, they don't.
Like
Okay.
This little Asian dude's like paying for their trips all over the world.
Okay. I thought they knew him. Okay.
This is not international news because none of us know about this.
Okay. Okay.
So this German guy introduces him to these women, and he's like, "I'll pay for it." Okay, let's go. They're going all over the place, which is really creepy. Specifically creepy because in all the documentaries I watched about Rhonda and Talia found out what was going on. Like her boyfriend, and I love this because it ages everybody, but faxed her and was like, this dude's like a killer, you need to get away from him. So for some reason, he talks to Talia and she's like, I'm not going to tell Rhonda. So they continue to vacation together. And that's it. I can't find anything else about who Rhonda is, if Rhonda's alive, what the fuck happened to Rhonda. Kaylee, did you see anything about that?
No, I actually didn't.
It's seriously fucked up. Like, he's going on vacation with these women after his release in 93, and then that's it. That's all she wrote. Like, there is nothing. In the Vice documentary, there's photos of them together.
What the fuck? Is she into it too? What's happening?
I don't know. And I want to feel like he didn't kill Rhonda because we'd know about it.
Maybe.
But then I'm like, where the fuck is Rhonda?
She's either in on it or dead.
Right. So, yeah, Kaylee, did you get far enough into the Vice documentary where he invited the sex worker over to his house?
No.
Okay.
Is it a hard watch, or would you?
No, it is.
It is. There's a lot. Yeah.
It's 30 minutes, but it feels like it's 4 fucking hours.
Yeah,
like,
it's a lot. And they have photos, and yeah, it's a lot.
Okay.
So he invites this girl over to his house because they're gonna make a video. But the fun part of the video is she doesn't know who he is.
Like a sex video?
Yeah.
Okay, I feel like a grandma asking that, but I just wanted to clarify.
No, you're like, yeah.
Like a sex video?
Yeah, a sex video, yes. Yeah. She is a sex worker and they're gonna make a video. So she comes over, but the fun part is she doesn't know who he is. And they're gonna tell her after.
Oh my god.
And like Vice let him do this? Like this?
Yes. Yeah, yes.
Oh.
This is why you don't make sex videos until you establish, like, you know each other and you have a long relationship.
Well, also, like, shame on Vice. Shame on Vice hardcore for doing it.
100%, yeah.
Okay, so I feel like I have a bad thing against Vice on this, but I also wonder, like, was this already happening and they're just there to film?
Surely.
Yeah, but I mean, like, the whole, like, oh, well, we're documentarians, and so we have to step back and let things happen.
And then I have...
There's a point where that doesn't happen.
I don't know. No. And then I shouldn't, but I have questions on the actress. Like, was she really in on it? And she's just, like, saying she was... I don't know. I don't know.
There's, like, legality stuff, I bet, around that. Because
there's a lot.
You would have to sign a release form to be mentioned or featured on that documentary. Like, that cannot...
And her face is not blurred out. Like, she's... Yeah.
If she could have sued the shit out of them if... Yeah. They set that up to kind of frame her and get a reaction at the end. Like any producer who would be involved in that, surely she would have to know or else she would sue the fucking shit out of them. Like that, I
don't know, but watching it, like, so if I remember correctly, in the contract, they had to have sex 3 times.
Ew.
And then they sat down on his
Okay, but like that, you're telling me a dude who's 4'9", who can like barely hold a gun and try to attack someone with an umbrella can have sex 3 times in one night?
Yes. And
Yes.
on top of that, multiple
Please.
articles I've read have been like, not only was he 4'9", but his hands were very small.
Yeah.
Like, why is that what you're using to explain this man?
His hands are small.
No, very small.
Very
very
small.
small.
Oh my god. Hilarious. Insane. Insane. All of this is so insane. Like,
No, it's so like so for people that don't want to watch this, after the post sexual intercourse scenes, they're like sitting on the couch and like just like, hey,
Oh no.
and he like passes over this scrapbook of
Oh
his,
no.
which he has multiple scrapbooks of his slaughtering. That's what I'm gonna call it.
Oh my
because it was a
gosh.
Yeah,
slaughter.
he
They
documented it.
let him keep that stuff?
Oh yeah,
Yes.
because there was no crime. He
Oh
has
my
all
God, that's
he has all this
so
shit.
terrible that like he owns that. Like
Yeah.
that should be absolutely not. Oh my God. Okay,
Yeah, no, like,
continue.
and he
Sorry.
hands this to her, and she starts flipping through it, and either she's a really fucking good actress, or this was real, because, like, you can see this woman's face, like, she's flipping the pages. So, the first thing she does, and as a woman, I understand this, she covers up her legs with a blanket,
aw.
like, she's, like,
Yeah.
and she starts, like, like, putting her elbows into her waist, and she's, like, making herself as small as possible.
Right.
Okay,
And then
yeah,
she starts
Vice needs to like take this off the internet. Like
Yeah.
and then she starts
they should not be
crying.
making money off of this still. Like that also that woman needs to like get all the money ever
Yeah.
from this.
Right.
Like what the hell?
This
This
is-
So
is like making me
there's
so
a
mad.
Yeah.
they talk about it for a minute, like, he asks her questions. They interview her in the car on the way out. It's a whole, like, real fucked up thing.
That makes me literally nauseous. All of this, everything about it is just makes me want to throw up. Like,
Yeah. No, like, my warning at the beginning wasn't good enough.
No, it was. It's just
Yeah.
I don't know. The
Yeah.
more you talk about it, the more it's like this
It's
is so
fucking
sickening.
terrible.
Yeah.
But yeah, so on the drive out, they film her like talking about her experience and how she felt and like what she thought about him before and after. And I'm sure this is like a psychologist's wet dream. Like, they're if it's real, like, they're getting all of this. But yeah, and so after all of this, briefly during his celebrity, he got cut off. Like, people started figuring out really quickly that he was like a huge piece of shit and nobody wanted to hire him. And he would complain about living, like, being known as a murderer and cannibal was a terrible punishment.
Oh my god. That is what I mentioned earlier. Where
Yeah.
he's like, "Oh, I'm trying so hard to get a job, but no one will hire me." And it's like, am I supposed to feel bad for you, dude?
Like, fuck you.
No, fuck you.
Yeah.
You literally murdered and ate a woman.
And he would have done it to more people, but he was a cowardly piece of shit, which I'm glad.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I do not feel sorry for the fact that you couldn't get a job. I don't.
No.
Yeah.
This is on you,
Sickly
man.
So in 2005, his parents died, which I love. Like, everything I looked at, it was like they died simultaneously. I don't know. Like,
I didn't read too much about it, but
yeah, no, and I'm a weirdo and I need to know all of the things. So I'm like trying to figure out, and it's like, no, they both died in 2005. Which would make sense of old age. And a lot of times when people are in love, that happens. Like, one dies, the other one dies. But he couldn't go to their funeral. But with the inheritance, he repaid creditors and got public housing. He got welfare benefits for a time. And then in that interview with Vice in 2011, he said being forced to make a living while being known as a murderer and cannibal was a terrible punishment.
God. Yeah, it must be tough, man.
Let my little violin play.
It's so
Hate
gross.
this dude. I hate him so
It's
much.
insane. Yeah, I don't know.
Just
He's saying
looking
it
at the
like
pictures of him, like he
yeah,
is
we're
disgusting.
supposed to pity him because
Yeah.
people know his name.
Well, but he didn't wanna kill her, he just wanted to eat her butt.
It's yeah, fuck him.
Yeah, I agree. So I have not yet watched, and I'm popping ahead in and out a bit into my pop culture references, but there is a movie called Cannibal that came out in 2017 that is available on Apple, and I just have not had the heart or stomach to buy it yet. I feel like I'm going to because
Mm-mm.
I have to because my conscious brain won't let me like digest this without it. But it interviews him and his brother, and they went into this thing, and kudos to them, non-judgmental, just like regular guys sitting down talking about some things that happened. And I really want to watch this, but this was where I learned that his brother has some similar interests to him.
Oh God.
So Issei suffered a cerebral hemorrhage in 2013 and like amazingly had a I'm going to butcher this gastronomy and can't eat. So he's like getting fed through a bag now,
Mm-hmm.
which is amazing.
Interesting karma.
Science
Oh,
is cool.
so good. But then in this Cannibal quote from his brother June, it's a strange, strange perversion. June says of his own uncontrollable urges, I'll probably die knowing why I have it or if anyone else is like me.
Oh my
I'm like, did you read the news? Like, do you know what your brother did?
He does.
Well, and I didn't, I like, it was very hard to do this outline because there's a lot of like tangents I could go on. And I know we're already like hitting time, but his brother is like a
Also
whole
fucked
nother
up.
episode. Yeah.
I know. I don't remember the article I read, but essentially, like in one of the films, it might be Cannibal that were made. He like fetish. How do you say fetishize?
Fetishized.
Yeah. Barbed wire being wrapped
Yeah,
around
yeah.
his arms and like him digging his fingers into the wounds that the
Yeah.
barbed wire created.
Seriously, like I feel like there's a lot and like I didn't dig deep into his brother on the interwebs, but I like after I saw that I was like, okay, this happy childhood might not have been so happy.
No.
I'm thinking Issei might have like lied a little bit. I don't know. Like, do you? I don't know. And maybe not. Maybe these two kids are just seriously fucked up, and their parents were perfect.
Yeah, that's probably true.
I just like 99.9% of the stories we talk about, there's some sort of abuse or like weird backstory.
Yeah, dude, perfect parents are not gonna like have their kid do that. I mean, it'd be
Mm-mm.
real
Well,
fucking
and
rare.
even though I don't agree with it, like if you're like total like sex is the devil, like we're not gonna talk about it. That's not like is that gonna make you go like cut a piece of meat off a woman's ass while she's sleeping? Or make the dog lick your junk? I don't know.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Ugh.
I got more of a reaction with the dog than the woman's ass, by the way.
Yeah, anything involving dogs or like little kids is really hard.
Well, and yeah, and the dog's super excited about it too. I was like, no, dog, that
Dude,
stop.
No. I don't.
I don't know. So
awful.
so that I could go on for
No,
like
no, stop.
ever about this. I know, like
Marissa, no.
yeah, when we're doing our episode lineup and there's like this whole like guess who's coming to dinner. I feel like Armin Maivis, like, still to me, like, that dude has my heart. Like,
I'd
he picked.
I don't know if
I
I'd
love.
say he has my heart, but I'd
Well,
much rather hang with him.
Yeah,
yeah,
like
he's way more
he wanted a
chill.
victim that wanted to be a victim,
He
and there was
got
like,
consent.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
consent.
Consent.
Yes.
Yeah, I will say, Andrea, you're taking it a little too far place. I would say that opinion is not supported by the Black Magic Coven. So
I'm just saying, this is Andrea's opinion. His victim wanted to be a victim. But I was like, okay, we're gonna continue this cannibal series. And this was my idea, and I instantly regretted it. But I feel like people need to know about this fucking shit because this dude is like a so big piece of shit. Like,
Well, and it's not okay. So, like in the future and anything else that's going on, like awful people like this should be held accountable and living the
yes,
shittiest lives ever. Should never,
somebody should have put a bullet in his head
yeah,
like
like,
years ago.
should not be celebrated. Even if you're like morbidly curious, like we
Don't
are.
buy his manga. Don't buy his
Yeah,
porno.
don't give him
Yeah.
any kind of money, you know, like even like send something to Vice because like I read that article that interview him and they kind of just make a joke out of it.
Yeah.
yeah.
And it's just
When there's a YouTube
disgusting.
video about it.
It's
Yeah.
disgusting. Like we
It
shouldn't give
is.
people like that the kind of attention, but when we're talking about it, it's from a place of like, fuck those guys, you know,
Yes.
don't feed into it. Don't like, because I guarantee you other people who are equally or if not as almost or more fucked up than him are going to be like, oh, I could get a book deal. Oh,
Right.
you know, people will be interested in my music or my art or, you know, and fuck, like it's so infuriating. It's disgusting. Hate it.
I feel like mass shooters are motivated by this
Yeah.
because they see in the media like they're a superstar.
Yes. Yes.
And it's like, no, fuck you, dude.
Yeah.
We're gonna focus on the victims and keep your face out of the media.
Yeah.
You're nobody.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this guy is like literally the worst nightmare of like he got complete fame
Right,
and
yeah.
fortune for doing something absolutely disgusting.
One of the
So-
head-
And he's still, up until like the last interview, was complaining about how he couldn't live his life because of this mistake he made.
God.
One of the headlines I read was about how he had become a folk hero.
Ew.
It's disgusting.
Hero should not be applied in any way, shape, or
No.
form to this man.
No, he's a fucking monster.
Well, and it's also like I'm just so like dumbfounded by all of this. Honestly, it's like a disgusting. As much as it's disgusting of him and his actions, it's disgusting of our society that we're feeding into that and like making a mockery of it.
Mhm.
Well, and I will, like, not that this makes anything better, but I feel like this was way bigger in Japan.
Yeah.
This was not like, okay, this sounds really gross. I did look up like if I could purchase his manga books or anything. I wasn't gonna purchase them, but like I wanted to know if like they were out there,
Mhm.
and they weren't.
Good.
Thank goodness. Like unless you want to go like black web or dark web, like you can't get his shit, which is good.
Mhm.
Like you can go on Amazon and like, I want to buy Issei Sagawa's manga. You can't do that.
Good.
And it was a time period, and I feel like after like the 90s, even in Japan, they like kind of shunned him, which was good, but it wasn't enough, like obviously. But I feel like we have the same thing here, like when murderers are praised or brought to celebrity, but not on that extent. And I don't know if Japan's ever had someone like this that reached that level of fame after murdering somebody, and that's something I want to like look into a little bit because it intrigues me. And so Liz and Marissa, like you guys were like blind coming in, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
No, don't be sorry because I actually like doing that sometimes with our episodes is like I won't I won't do any research, and so I'll get like an honest reaction. And just, you know, this was one that I might have maybe should have done some research and prepared myself, because I feel very nauseous.
No, you'll feel nauseous.
It's
You
So I
should
swear,
feel nauseous.
I
gnarly.
swear to God, I
Yeah.
have been on this dude like for like a couple years now, and I
Jeez.
don't feel any less nauseous right now than I did the first time I found out about it.
Yeah, you like, I don't know how you could desensitize to something like this.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
don't.
And
Yeah.
for me, I don't know what was worse, like knowing like, okay, he had this issue, he was arrested, he got let out of jail, he goes to college, he kills this woman, he gets let out, and then he goes on vacation with these other women, and then there's like this timeline we're not really sure. Like he's vacationing, like he's all over the world. Like who the fuck did he kill?
Yeah. Oh,
Because
yeah.
he's on tape saying like he didn't really want to kill Renee because he had like a relationship with her, but it wasn't the fact that he killed her. It was the fact that he was like in that like friend zone and he thought maybe something could have happened.
Right, because he had made romantic advances, right? On her
Yeah, like
before.
it's like,
Yeah.
oh shit, I killed her. Maybe she would have fucked me. Like, oh damn it.
Wow.
Yeah, like yeah. I think that's what's the most jaunting. Because like, what other women did he run into that no one missed?
Mm-hmm.
And that's what bothers me. I think.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Googling it, and I think it's probably for privacy reasons. I find nothing on Rhonda or Italia that he took on trips or did anything with. If those were their real names, I
Right.
have no idea. Like, that's what he said. But I would just love to know that those ladies are safe.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why we're binding Issei Sagawa.
Well, and you know, this is also like the first episode where I'm not drinking the entire time, and I could have really used a stiff drink this entire time. Like, of course, I don't have like whiskey or wine right now. So
We can pause if you need to grab something.
too late. It's too late, Andrea. Oh,
Sorry, I gave a trigger. I don't do trigger warnings. Yeah.
this is what I get, but it's okay.
Oh God.
It's a good episode. Good episode. Fucked up dude. Not good, but good episode.
Well, should we talk about what has us, happy? this
Spellbound.
week? I don't know.
I was gonna do a brief pop culture in case.
Oh yeah.
And like I don't want to like I didn't put anything on here that would support him. I guess I have no idea who's getting money for this stuff. But there were several documentary films that were spawned by this. Cannibal Superstar in Sweden. Excuse Me for Living in the UK. The Cannibal That Walked Free in the UK. And the one that I got the most from was the Vice interview with a cannibal from 2011, which is very insightful, but very triggering. And I would be cautious in advising anyone to watch it because I don't know how much money they're making off of it as well. Cannaba that came out in 2017, which I probably will pursue, was the interview with him and his brother talking about they call it the incident.
What?
Yeah, him and his brother have
Wow.
decided they call it the incident because they're rich and they can do that. It's like, somebody bumped into you at the shopping mall. They had an incident.
Right.
Woman
That's
died.
like me spilling red wine on like
Renee
No,
Hartvelt
carpet.
A
died.
woman died and was eaten.
Yeah.
Renee Hartvelt died.
Oh
Yeah.
God.
It's not a fucking incident.
But that's Cannaba, which is the top rated on Google when you pull up the search on Issei Sagawa movies. In other pop culture, the Rolling Stones album in 1983, Undercover, made a song called Too Much Blood, which I have not looked up about
Interesting.
Sagawa and violence in the media.
Hmm.
And then later, as a career actor, he was discussed in the 2015 documentary Fear Itself by Charles Lynn. So,
Have
I
fun.
yeah, I think we covered
Don't eat
enough
while you watch any of that.
in this one to like kind of give you an idea of what like a stupid like excrement piece of shit this person was. And luckily, you know, he had that cerebral hemorrhage and can only eat through a tube. So I'm just praying that his brother's not like grinding people up and putting them through the tube.
Mm.
That's a horrible closing thought. I gotta do better.
No, it's not. It's not closing yet. We're going to talk about what has us
Yes.
Yeah, what else?
What?
cast a
Yeah.
spell.
What put a spell on you this week?
I'll go first. So I started reading Once Upon a Time in Hollywood by Quentin Tarantino, the book.
I did too.
Really?
Yes.
Oh my god, how fun! That's amazing.
Oh, it's good. I'm like 3/4 of the way through. I'll finish
Oh.
probably in the next 2 days.
Okay, you're farther along than me. I'm hoping to finish this weekend, but I'm only like 60 or 70 pages in, and it's great. I'm having so
It's
much
so
fun
good.
with it. Yeah, it's awesome. And then I'll probably watch the movie afterwards, but it's been
Hold on. You haven't seen the movie?
no, I have, but I want to watch
Oh.
like it again after I read the book.
Yeah, but it's so different. Like,
Yeah.
I think everybody's expecting it to be just like a screenplay,
No, I'm glad that
and it's not at all.
Yeah, I'm actually really glad that it's not. So
Yes.
I've been having a lot of fun with that and just revisiting, you know, those characters in that time period and those people just in general. And actually, Quentin Tarantino, you know, he's a good screenwriter, obviously, but in terms of like writing a novelization of the film, he's a good writer too. So I would totally be interested in reading more of those. And I've actually never, I mean, I've read the books that are based, that movies are based upon, like as an influence, but I've never read like a novelization of a film that comes after a movie, which is a
Same.
whole
No, from what I understand, he's done other things,
Mm-hmm.
but not like this, where it's like a complete like novelization of an idea.
Mm. I think
I
it's pretty
it's
awesome.
phenomenal. Like so far, I'm like so into it.
So I was looking at other novelizations too, because I browsing through like half price books or old school, you know, bookstores. I've seen like Ghostbuster books, and you know, there's one on Terminator 2, and it's just kind of, I know there's a shit ton of like Star Wars novelizations and Star Trek. So y'all listeners, sit
This is
down.
like you love the story, but we're gonna give you more of the story.
Right. But I'm not looking for like 10 books on the fucking movie. I just want like one, you know?
Yes.
And just I'm kind of curious. So yeah, that's so funny you're reading it too. That's been like a highlight of my week. It's been really fun.
Well, and after Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, I don't know about everybody, but like I watched it twice in the theater just because I'm a Tarantino nerd.
Mm-hmm.
And like I wanted to know more. Like there's
Yeah.
so much backstory on all these people and like what happened, and they can't put that in the movie. It'd be like a 5-hour movie.
Right.
So the book gives you that.
Cool. Yeah, I'm excited to finish it. You'll have to let me know. Well, I'll let you know when I finish it. We can talk about it because I'll probably be behind you.
No, I'm reading another book in between it, so
cool.
I can't focus right now. It's Rona.
But what about
Sounds
y'all?
all right.
What else?
So
Yeah.
I would like to say I watched the show. It's a mini series on Netflix, Clickbait. Have any of
Okay.
y'all
Yeah,
watched that?
I started it. I'm like 3 episodes in.
Okay,
I have not heard of this.
I started it at like, I don't know, I got off work a little late and was like, I just want to watch a show before I go to bed. I don't know if I'll like this. I had seen the trailer and I started the first episode and I ended up staying up till like 3:30 in the morning.
Oh wow.
Watching the first like I think it was 3 because they range from like 45 to hour-long episodes.
Mm-hmm.
The less you know about the show, I think the better.
Mm-hmm.
Like
So
watch the Yeah, watch the trailer if you feel, if you're just curious, you don't know anything about it, but don't read anything else about it until you've watched it.
Okay.
Okay, that's the best advice ever. And lately, like, it's really tough, especially with big budget movies. Like, I'm trying to
Yeah.
go into every movie blind.
Sure. And I don't know, it had been it's a Netflix series, so it just popped up one day and I was like, huh, this looks
Like, don't
interesting.
watch trailers, just watch it.
Yeah. And I do think though, this trailer, I think is like, after watching the series, I don't think it gives enough away. I think it gives you exactly what you need to decide whether or not you'd be interested in the show.
But it might not make me want to watch it, so I'll take your opinion.
Well, yeah, I mean, that was kind of when I started. I was like, the trailer
Yeah.
intrigued me, but like maybe not. So I started it, and then I was hooked.
Liz, you got something?
So I'm gonna do two things, only because one of them I like kind of recommend, but it relates to like what we were talking about, like very weirdly. But like I'm on the third book now of a trilogy, the Chronicles of Alice novellas, and they're written by Christina Henry. So the first one's called Alice, and then the second one is Red Queen, and now I'm on the third one, which is called Looking Glass. And it's kind of weird. I'm like fascinated by them. I don't think they're perfect, but like I think they're interesting enough that I want to finish the series, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
But the weird thing, so like basically it's a twisted version of the Alice in Wonderland story. And so in this, like Alice was basically like captured by the rabbit, and it was kind of like a sex trafficking sort of situation. And she's a young girl, but like and so like the walrus and the carpenter, like all those characters are like basically like big crime bosses in this place called the Old City, and Alice is from the New City where like everything is pretty and nice, but like the Old City is full of crime and terrible things. And so she wanders off, gets caught up in all this crap. Anyways, she's in like a mental hospital after she's able to escape, and she then escapes the hospital and goes back to the Old City and basically like tries to take down all these crime bosses.
It's like Sucker Punch.
Interesting.
I don't know. It's like her and then like her like neighbor in the mental hospital whose name is the Hatcher. He's the Mad Hatcher, and anyways, the weird thing that feels related to our episode is that the walrus, his whole thing was that he liked to, because like basically they're all like sexual deviants pretty much. Like it's pretty, I don't know, like it's not as messed up as this episode by any means, but like there's some like messed up weird stuff in it. But like the walrus likes to eat the women while he's like trying to, do other things to them. And so when we were talking about this guy, I was like, oh my God, that's like weirdly like this book I just read.
That makes sense, yeah.
But anyways, that series, if you like kind of like a really dark, effed up version of the Alice story, I would say it would be up your alley. Like I said, it's not perfect to me. And sometimes I'm kind of like, is this necessary for it to be this violent? Or is it just to be like shock value? I don't know. But it's caught my interest enough that I've read 3 books now. So whatever. And then my other thing is very apt for this because it's Only Murders in the Building, which is a show on Hulu.
Yes, I've been meaning to start that.
And I've watched the first couple episodes and it's really great. It's about so it's Martin Short, Steve Martin, and then Selena Gomez. And they all live, which is a random person to add, right?
Mm-hmm.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah, they all live in this apartment building in New York, and they're all listening to the same true crime podcast when they happen to get kicked out of their apartment because there has been a murder in their building. And so they all like they're trying to listen to the new episode that came out that night, and they all end up finding out that they're all listening to this same podcast. So they start talking about it. Anyways, then the 3 of them decide to make a true crime podcast about the murder that happened in their building.
Oh, that's
so kind of like funny because obviously we don't have a true crime podcast. We do talk about true crime sometimes, but But just kind of funny because it's like about podcasting, and I mean, I love Steve Martin forever. Like, I just think he's a wonderful person, and I will watch him in basically anything. So, but it's really good. I feel like it's a good combination of some like old and new comedy. Like, because I mean, Steve Martin is kind of classic comedy, but it's fun to see him in something so modern. I don't know. I just really like it. So I would recommend that on Hulu as well. So Andrea, how about you?
Okay. So, I've been trying to watch things and nothing's been working because I am binging Ray Donovan. And I don't know if you guys
Yeah.
I don't know if anybody is I'm way
I
late.
love Liev Schreiber, so you know.
I'm super late on this. There is 82 episodes and it is going to conclude in a movie that's coming out this spring apparently. But the only way I can describe this is like a LA fixer noir drama. There are horror elements to who he is, I feel like, and the life he leads. But if anybody hasn't checked this out, I'm obsessed, and I feel like in another life I was probably Ray Donovan. That's I think that's yeah. And I need some more whiskey because I'm out.
Fair enough.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
So, ladies, next episode, exploring the Chanted Forest.
yeah, it's gonna be spooky.
Spooky fun.
Ooh.
Yeah,
if
spooky
you-
fun, unlike this episode.
Yeah,
Yeah,
this episode was not
the next
spooky fun,
episode
so
will actually be
we're
fun
gonna need a
times.
buffer.
Yeah.
But if you've liked what you've heard, please interact with us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at Black Magic Coven. Be sure to use the hashtag Black Magic Coven. And rate, review, and subscribe on Anchor FM, Spotify, Apple iTunes, or wherever you listen to your podcasts. This concludes the gathering of the Black Magic Coven.
You are listening to a Downright Creepy original on the Crickets Podcast Network.